All right, today we're gonna do world history a little different today. Okay, gonna go through this virtual museum. Okay, I'm gonna take you guys through a museum showing some of the sculptures and artifacts from what most historians call the greatest societies of the ancient world, which are Greece and Rome, ancient Asia, ancient Egypt, and was there? I think I'm missing one. Oh, those are the three societies we're gonna. Ancient Egypt, ancient Greece and Rome, and ancient Asia.
Four.
Well, Greece and Rome are kind of together because their societies interlock in history in a significant way, and we'll talk about that probably later. But and they influenced each other greatly, Greece and Rome. These societies have formed a lot of things we still use today. Some of their art and paintings and laws and how you run a society are still things we use today. In fact, a lot of the buildings in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, are modeled after Greek and Roman ancient buildings as a tribute to them because basically we learned a lot of our constitution and our laws and things directly from them. We kind of copied and pasted and made some changes, and we have our own countries running the way it does based on their model. Okay, you guys are familiar with the obelisk in
Egypt.
right? That's right, Momo. You said it. Let me try to fix this. I thought I figured out how to do this thing. Yeah, it's nice, right?
Yeah.
All right, this ain't working out like I thought it would. Okay, here we go.
Oh, the floor. Oh, museum.
All right. All right. So the obelisk in ancient Egypt that you guys are familiar with, or vice versa, the Washington Monument in Washington D.C. is modeled after the obelisk in ancient Egypt. All right. We'll save your Instagrammables for afterwards, buddy. All right. Let's go. Well, then it's not going to be a good Instagrammable now, is it? Because you don't really know it. It's in your short-term memory. All right, so we're going to go into the museum and we're just going to take a look at things. You see anything interesting you want me to get closer to, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just walk through these as we are whatever's closest. Then we'll start here. All right. All right. Here we have. Okay. So we're in ancient Asia. Okay, we call this ancient Asia because it's a mixture of a lot of different cultures that will later become different countries today in modern times. So you have countries that predate what we know as modern day China, okay, but obviously influenced a lot of modern day China, Mongolia, Tibet, a lot of different ancient cultures that are distinct and completely separate today. Well, not basically the same. Their cultures were so interlocked together, they weren't as separated and distinct as they are today during this part of Asian history that we're going over. Okay, this statue is from 880 period, Chola period, 880 to 1279. This is called Child Saint Sambandar. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Mask where?
On your right.
On my right? There? Okay. Let me navigate over there. Okay, what did I do? It should have turned me around. Oops.
Too close.
All right. Here we go. All right. Yeah, big. This is from the 16th century. So what date range is the 16th century? Who can tell me that?
Oh,
That's a tricky one.
BCE.
No, CE. What date range would be the 16th century? Okay, so if I said the 20th century was from 1900 to 1999, what date range would the 16th century be?
1999 to 1600.
No? Okay, so let me do this instead. Let me explain it to you and just give you the answer. All right, so when we're dealing with century numbers, okay, the key to remember is that whatever the century number is, the date range would be one less number in the date range. For example, 16th century actually refers to the 1500s. The 19th century actually refers to the 1800s.
1800s?
Yeah, we live in the 21st century currently, and we're in the 2000s or the 2000s, if you want to say it that way. Okay, because of how our modern calendar works, there was no year zero. Okay, so the centuries always outdated the numerical numbers by one. Okay, all right. So this is from the 16th century. The culture is in Nepal, Kathmandu Valley. Nepal is a country in
Wait, let me
Nepal.
guess.
What part of Southeast Asia? Now we learned about Nepal last school year a little bit. There's a famous mountain in Nepal. Yep. We also learned about the Dalai Lama, who's very famous in Nepal. The tallest mountain in the world is in Nepal. Let me help you out there.
Mount Kilimanjaro?
No, that's in Africa.
Everest.
Mount Everest. That's right. Good job, Mo. Mount Everest is in Nepal. Okay, and you remember some of the cultural dress of the religious people in Nepal? How did they dress, Mo? Yep, we can call them gowns or robes. Yeah.
Or dresses.
Well, you wouldn't call them dresses. That wouldn't be as accurate as a robe would be, like a ceremonial or religious robes, right? And who knows what religion they were?
Gandhi.
Huh?
Gandhi.
Gandhi's not a religion. Gandhi's a person.
Buddha.
All right, Buddha is an important figure in the religion. But the religion itself is not called Buddha. Buddhism. There we go. Buddhism. That's the word I was looking for. Good job, Mo. All right, let's keep moving, guys. Anything else you want to see? You want me to just go to the next thing? Huh? Where?
Yeah, there.
Over there is kind of general, buddy. So.
Right there.
Okay. All right, this is a pretty interesting statue. Okay, let's see what the description says. Huh? I believe it's a man. I think that the statue even has a mustache. Can you see that clearly? Okay. Kind of maybe like a sash. You have to understand, when we are looking at ancient societies, how they define masculinity and femininity might not be the same as how we define it in our culture in modern times. Okay, we're looking at a different culture, which is in a different part of the world, and in a very different time zone. Okay, we're looking at this statue from 3rd century. The 3rd century. We're in the 21st century. Very, very long time ago. And in this part of the world, in this culture, and this is from Pakistani culture, this is a Pakistani piece of art, okay? Pakistan, who knows what Pakistan is?
A place.
Yeah, who knows what part of Asia it is? Anyone?
India.
No. Yeah. But think of Asia as a continent, not just Asia as in stereotypical Asian people. Okay, remember that Russia is a part of Asia, Saudi Arabia is a part of Asia. Okay, don't just think of it in terms of China and Japan. We're talking about the entire continent.
Tokyo?
Mongolia, no,
Nepal?
no. Okay, I'll help you guys out. This is actually in the Middle East.
Saudi Arabia?
Okay. No, I've already given you the country, but I was asking for the region. I gave you the answer already. It's actually the Middle East. This is in Pakistan. Pakistan. Okay.
Let's see if Mommy can
3rd
guess.
century.
Mommy, come look at this thing and see if you can guess where it's from.
All right, this is actually a depiction by those cultural people trying to depict the Buddha of the future. The Buddha of the future. A bit close to what?
To what it looks like now.
A Buddha of the future? Well, by Buddha of the future, they're not referring to a statue, how statues of Buddha would be made in the future. They're referring to the actual person, Buddha.
What do you think
Okay.
it's from, Mommy? Let me see. What, country? Yeah. Continent? Where, Daddy? It's a country.
Well, if I say the country, Mommy will know the region.
You say the country.
Well, Pakistan.
I was gonna say Asia because the eyes
Uh,
look Asian
Oh, they look Asian?
to me.
Well, that's true and false. So Mommy makes a good point. This is Asian, but again, Asia is a continent that encompasses a lot of people that don't look stereotypically Asian. Okay, so Russian people are Asian, Saudi Arabian people are Asian, Pakistani people are Asian, and this is from Pakistan. So Mommy's right, it is Asian, but not Asian in the way that we think of Asia.
Mommy's right. You don't follow it with a but. You just kind of.
All right, Mommy. Mommy's on joke time, everyone, because she doesn't know we're being recorded for YouTube. Okay? I said Mommy's on joke time because she doesn't know we're being recorded for YouTube. I know, joke time. That's why I gave that a caveat. Everyone doesn't know your sense of humor. All right, Aaron, I need you to focus, please. I need you to focus, okay?
Focus. I'm trying to ignore you so you don't get in trouble, but you're not getting the hint.
Aaron, come sit over here. Okay, so this is Pakistan, from Pakistan culture. I don't know what museum this actual statue is in. They don't tell me that, I don't believe. Okay, but this is a virtual recreation of the actual statue.
Looks pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's noticeable in the 3rd century is how good of artists they were working with materials of this size. I mean, the amount of detail involved in an artist or artists, I don't know how many people took to make this statue, is incredible. I mean, it's using techniques of an ancient society. I don't know if this statue could look any better if done by a modern artist of the same skill level. It's pretty incredible how skilled they were so far ago. The realism in the statue is incredible. During this part of time, many statues in other societies, including ancient Egypt and European societies, didn't have this level of realism in the statues. Yeah, this level of realism was not common back then. So in that respect, it's extremely incredible. It's kind of how we look at photorealistic paintings today, and how incredibly realistic they look. How we're amazed by those. People around the world would have been amazed by this statue. Like, it looks exactly like a real person. If that person was, I don't know. Aaron, I need you to focus, buddy. Okay? If that person was, however tall this person is, this statue is maybe 9 feet, 7, 8 feet, something like that. This looks like a real person. One thing that's important to notice about this statue is this is Pakistani culture. And like many religions who adopt religions from other cultures, they often depict whoever their deity or spiritual figure is, or inspirational figure of their religion, or of their belief system, they depict them in terms of their own racial identity. We see Jesus Christ depicted in Europe as a white man, even though he was from the Middle East. We see this Buddha statue depicted as a Pakistani man, even though Buddhism was more of a Southeast Asian culture by people who are of what you think of as Asian when you say the word, more Chinese, Mongolian type of people with their facial features and things like that. You see this one depicted in their local culture. If we're going to depict a Buddha, that Buddha is going to look like us. Okay? Common amongst many religions. You see a black Jesus in parts of Africa depicted, and even in America, you see amongst African American churches, African American Episcopal churches,
People say Jesus is definitely.
Jesus is black. Most societies have the habit of depicting their deities in whatever race they belong to, which is interesting because, yeah, so they can relate more. So they can feel like their society is great because our deity is great. Now, the important thing to remember about Buddhism is they don't consider themselves a religion. Okay? They consider themselves a belief system. Buddha is not their god in the sense that Jesus would be the god of Christianity or Allah would be the god of Islam. They don't consider Buddha their god, even though Buddha acts in a lot of ways the same way that we see gods in other religions. They make statues of them, they pray by them, they're considered sacred, statues or sculptures that were made out of them. They don't actually pray to Buddha. They don't consider Buddha a god, even though they look, almost indistinguishable between a god and another religion. They actually don't believe in God as Buddhists. They don't believe there is a God. They don't believe there's a higher deity that created us or anything like that. They just use Buddha as a symbol to remind them to always keep trying to achieve self-improvement and to reach a state of higher enlightenment. Yeah. All right, moving on. Right, we have this interesting statue, and let me change my thing here. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see, what is this, man? That's a good question. Let's see the description. All right, Mo, that's a pretty good pronunciation. I don't think I can do a better one. Aaron, you want to give it a try? Yeah, pretty good. All right, 11th, you guys are good at pronouncing these. 11th century. Okay, this is from the 11th century. And this is from Bangladesh or India. Okay, Bangladesh or India. Not really sure which one, but it's either from Bangladesh or India of the 11th century, because the historians have dated it as such. And how do we know that? Is a great question, Aaron. So I don't know how they know this specifically, but I'll tell you generally how they find this stuff out. Okay, so okay, Mo, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, maybe where the materials from, where it's most commonly used. Maybe from the way how the pictures you see on the art, if they look more from their culture, if it looks more from the other cultures.
All right, you guys do a better job than I do. Aaron, you wanna try to add to that? How do historians know where stuff is from, especially if they don't have a stamp that says made in China or made in India or Pakistan, which none of the ancient artworks do? How do they figure that out? All right, you guys are on the money today. Okay, I can't add anything else. I'll just kind of combine what both of you guys said. The materials it's made out of, the depictions you see on it, Other things that you find that might be reflected that you can definitely tell where that's from. All of those things are used to determine where a piece is from. For example, in ancient Africa, they didn't have depictions like this, so we can eliminate Africa. Okay, or ancient France, or Gaul, I think is what France, or ancient Native Americans. They didn't have artwork like this. Also, the place where you find it says a lot. If you're talking about 11th century, they don't have airplanes, in the 11th century. There are no major transatlantic transportations that are common at that point. Moving something this size would require a tremendous amount of human power on manual things. Yeah, for this to be from France and somehow end up in the India or Bangladesh region would be, not impossible, but highly unlikely.
Maybe it got moved by the not strongest thing that I could move it, but the thing that's more likely if it moved is probably water, ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, but even those are unlikely. Even those are unlikely for 11th century travel to transport something of this size and this weight on a boat from a foreign land. More likely is where you discovered something of this size and this great detail, which speaks a lot about how important it was to somebody for them to spend the tremendous amount of months that it must have taken to do this. Must have been important to somebody who was local at the place you found it. Okay, so that helps us kind of narrow down where this could be from. Okay, and again, like you guys already said, the depictions in the artwork itself tell us a lot about the culture it's supposed to represent.
Is that like their god right there?
Where? In the middle?
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't give us much detail about who the person is, and I don't know much about this sculpture, so I can't answer that question. But my guess is, is Bangladesh culture or India. This might be Buddha, or it could be Hindu. It could be Hindu religion, and this might be one of their many gods in the Hindu religion, or some related religion to Hinduism.
I kind of like the god. I think is really cool because it usually wears jewelry and cool hats.
Yeah. If you notice, there's a depiction of a few gods here, or it's possible that this is a multi-headed god. If we look closely, we can see the other god peeking in from the side here, and it looks like they might have another head, but it might be faded or broken because of its age over time. Maybe. Unlikely though, because they wouldn't have sculptures kind of 4D. This is kind of already 3D-ish, but it's meant to be seen from the front, obviously.
Yeah.
So they more than likely, wouldn't put anything on the back of it. But great detail, pretty awesome depiction, and very interesting. I mean, it must have taken a long time to do as much details. Here depicted at the top, I believe, are temples. So I'm going to say maybe Buddhist temples. I'm not really sure. Alright. Maybe Sikh?
It was made in the
Probably not Sikh. Yeah, 11th century.
How do they know that for a fact?
Well, you can date things using different dating techniques. One dating technique is what's called carbon dating. Yeah.
I learned this in my world history class last year. They did this with fossils. I forgot what it's called, but they did with fossils to learn how old fossils were.
All right. Do you remember any details about how the technique worked?
I think they did something like they got some carbon.
Okay, carbon dating.
Yes, carbon dating. That's
Carbon dating. Okay. Do you remember any details about how carbon dating works?
I think that since carbon
Mm-hmm.
just read how long the carbon's been there, and that's usually how long the fossil's been there.
Yeah, very close, Momo. Okay, so you miss a small detail, and I'll fill that in for you. So
What?
carbon is made out of most things in the world are made out of carbon, including humans have a certain amount of carbon in us, and carbon fades over time at a consistent rate, no matter how the weather around it or events around it change. So even if it goes to extreme heat over a period of time, like the earth gets extremely hot, or if it goes to extreme cold, it doesn't affect the carbon inside of it. Okay, carbon isn't affected by most things, and carbon fades at a consistent rate. So
What
once
is
something,
it affected to? You
huh?
said most things. What is it affected
I can't think off the top of my head what affects carbon, but that sidetracks us from the main point I'm trying to make. Okay, so over time, scientists know that a certain amount of carbon exists within a material, and it fades consistently at a certain period of time. So maybe after 1,000 years, you go from 10 million carbon to 9 million carbon. Okay, just as an example, I'm making up a hypothetical. It's not really how it works, but just so you can understand. So scientists know if something is, have been around for 1,000 years, instead of 10 million, it should have 9 million
or 8?
or 8 million.
But it would still
or
have carbon.
it would still have carbon. So what scientists do, they literally count the carbon molecules inside using pretty advanced microscopes to see it.
They one by one count?
One by one count, most humans, and they use computers. Okay.
How long does it take?
Carbon counting, they probably have it down to a few minutes at this point, but I'm not exactly sure. I mean, they've been doing it for so long, and I can imagine that the technology is probably caught up to the point where it's not an extremely tedious task for scientists to do. So that's how they can figure out the age of things, Aaron. So they can't get. Yeah, that's one way of testing it. They have other ways too. But when you figure out the age of something, you can't get the specific age. Meaning you can't figure out from something this old what month, date, hour, minute something was made. You can just kind of get a general sense of around what century how old something is when it's this old.
Okay.
You get it?
So if it has a little carbon, it been around for a long time.
Very long time. Yeah. Okay. All right. So they can give you a age range at best, but scientists have not advanced to the point where they can tell you exactly how old something
Do they
is.
do that for animals too, living things?
Yeah. If you have remains of a living thing, you can use certain dating techniques to figure things out. Now, carbon dating is one type of dating, but that carbon dating doesn't work on everything that's old. You have to use other type of dating techniques for different type of things. So here is a great example. So they figured out this is in the date range of 11th or to 12th century BC. So they can only narrow it down to about 200-year block of time. Somewhere in that 200-year block of time, this was made. Okay? And it's from India or Bahrain, which predates India. India and Bahrain. So they put Bahrain, look here, guys, let me show you this. So they put Bahrain in parentheses. You see that?
Yeah.
Because what they're trying to tell us is what we consider modern India today used to be called Bahrain when this was made.
Oh, okay. So when it was called India, it might have got Bahrain, but when it was called Bahrain,
Bahrar.
like
I said Bahrain. It's Bihar, I think it is. I was thinking about it is a country called Bahrain, but this is Bihar, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, well, Bihar, it might have been called Bihar first,
Bihar.
and India second. Well, that's probably
Right. So that's what they're saying here. There was a country called Bihar or Bihar. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
But India today.
And what we consider modern India today. Probably not the exact same borders. Maybe larger, maybe smaller. Maybe a part of India and a part of a different country, maybe Pakistan or something. But what we consider modern day India, right, was this country Bihar is what the probably the local people refer to their country as then. Well, countries change. I mean, countries and country names change. What used to be, what is modern day Russia, was 50 years ago known as the USSR, which stood for, was an acronym about 50 years ago, which stood for an acronym of, I forget what USSR stood for, but it was an abbreviation, just like USA stands for United States of America. Okay.
What was it called?
USSR, just like we have the USA today, which stands for United States of America. Their USSR stood for, I think the U stood for Union,
Question.
and then the R stood for Russia.
So when you
But I
say,
can't remember what the
when you
S
say
is.
where are you from, you would say, I'm from USSR.
Yeah, you could say that. Just like somebody today might say, I'm from the USA. Just one more letter in their abbreviation of their name of their country. Okay, or you could say, I'm from America. You know?
Or you can say I'm from Russia.
Or you could say, today I'm from Russia. You wouldn't say that back when it was called the USSR.
It would be like Russia. What?
Yeah, there was no Russia.
It's like you say I'm from the United.
Right.
Oh, we are from this.
All right, we gotta kind of wrap this up,
One
guys.
more.
All right, let's pick one more out of the Asian art section. I'll swing around the other side so you guys can get a gist of what's around the corner here and make a decision on what the last one is we look at.
Guess what's the name? The gold one. I don't know.
All right, so that's about the gist of it, guys. You guys can kind of see just about everything there is to see,
Rock, paper, scissors, Daddy.
and I'll just keep circling until you guys make a decision.
Take it, see what it's. Okay, so that
Which one? All right, that one isn't very helpful when my VR headset on.
behind you.
Behind me, it's a wall behind me.
Oh, in front of you.
This one in front of me?
No, over there. That was the one that's sitting.
This one here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That kind of looks good. Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Now this one still has the paint on it, so I'm assuming it's not that old. But let's see. All right. So period. Liao Dynasty, 907 to 1125. Okay, that is pretty old. I have no idea. Maybe it was preserved some kind of way. Culture China. Okay, medium, meaning who knows what medium means when you see medium in a piece of art? No?
Size.
No.
Wait.
No. You guys are just gonna guess, so I'll help you out. So medium means what was used to make this. Okay, so if you see a painting, they might say the medium is a canvas and oil paint, to let you know that they're making it on a canvas and using a particular type of paint known as oil painting. Okay, so the medium here is stoneware with 3 color glaze. So instead of using not exactly like honey glaze, Aaron, but glaze here refers to a type of painting. Instead of drawing it with a paintbrush, you lay it over with a chemical of a certain color and you let it kind of stain. And then when it dries, it looks painted. Yeah, it looks painted. Yeah, so it's made with a glaze instead of somebody taking paint and a paintbrush and painting it over top. Okay, it was carefully designed. Yeah, it was carefully designed using what's called a glaze. Okay, so you said honey glaze, Aaron.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about honey glaze, you're not that far off. Instead of food, they're using chemicals that have coloring in it, and they're laying it over top of the stoneware.
Dad, the one on the right is staring at us.
Oh, it is.
Isn't that creepy?
Hey, creepy guy.
What is that animal over there?
All right, we're gonna have to visit this another time because we're running out of time for the day. And we got to go to our next class. Okay, but maybe next week we'll come back to this virtual museum. Okay. All right, off we go.